Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Aqueduct Racetrack here on Saturday. It is the 11th of May, 2024. Gonna look at the stakes races on the program from the Beaugay, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it, around the world. Let's look at the stakes action today from Aqueduct. Before I get to that, I want to also plug this one thing. Join me tomorrow for my French 2000, 1000 guineas from Longchamp. Excellent race there. You got that going now. Back to Aqueduct. We're going to look at races, the stakes races 2, 4, 6, and 7. Let's get to it right now. The second race from Aqueduct, Belmont the Beaugay. It is the Beaugay Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for $175,000 purse for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 8 horses entered. 6, 7, and 8 are MTOs. 5 will head to the outer turf course, 1,700-meter journey, or mile 16th here in the Beaugay Stakes. Going to take the 4-horse Esprit as a top selection. 4-2-5-3 for me in the superfecta. 4-2-5-3 super, top selection of 4-horse Esprit. This 4-year-old field by Quality Road. Chad Brown trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. The horse hasn't been seen since the Spa, 19th of August to be exact, mile 16th in the Lake Placid, where she won by 2 lengths that day, and she had a dream trip cutting back in a little bit of ground that day. She stalked all the way around the race course, a little bit wide late, but when she had the turn of foot, she flew home. A very nice strong run. Refreshing here off the bench, not the world's deepest event, facing older horse for the first time. I think she's up there to run a good race today. 2 back in the Belmont Oaks at Belmont. I'm on a quarter the 8th of July. She just wasn't getting a trip. She finished 4th by 2 1/4 lengths, and she just kind of was flat that day. I do think she just wasn't in the proper spot. I just don't think she's a 1/4 horse. I think she wants to get to a mile and eighth might be that long, that might be the end for this horse, the ceiling. She just wasn't getting the 1/4 there. And then prior to that, the Hilltop at Pimlico over the mile, she went quite nicely, won by a half a length. She sat back early, a little bit wide, but she flew home clear late. That was a very good run, first time stakes quality horses. Prior to first time winners, Op 75 at Tampa over the mile, she won by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and again, a very good easy run with 72 buyer. Definitely improving with every single race. Mile 16th up her alley. First time older horses, I'll give her a shot. The 2-horse Nessie Marie for Robert Reed and Joel Rosario. Horse had a great fall here in New York last year. Placed in the Jockey Club Oaks behind Eternal Hope. Again in the Sands Point where she nearly got to Eternal Hope late. She finished second by a half length. Again, closing up from nowhere. Prior to that, won the Mrs. Penny against State Breds at Parks and won a State Bred Officer 40 at Parks on the turf course. She's a bit of a deep closer here, getting Rosario up, who's a very good, finishing rider on horses. At 8-1, I'll give her a shot on this ticket. Her races in the fall weren't bad at all. The only subpar race was that Mrs. Revere, which is off turf, but she's not a dirt horse. She's a turf horse. Back here today with a give in the ground, I'll give her a shot on the pick 4. It begins with this race. But to recount my selection for the second now from Belmont, the Beaugay, it's the Beaugay. Going to take the 4-horse Esprit. Give kudos to the 2-horse Nessie Marie. 4-2-5-3 super. 4-2 in the multi-race. The 4th event now from Aqueduct. It is the Runhappy Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a purse of $175,000. Races for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 6 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs here in the Runhappy. Going to take the 1-horse Straight No Chaser. I'm going to go 1-2-4-6 in the superfecta. 1-2-4-6 super. Top selection of 1-horse Straight No Chaser. 5-year-old horse by Spicer here. John Velasquez gets on this one for Juan Landeros. The horse's most recent outing came nearly a year ago in the Maryland Sprint at Pimlico, 6 furlongs 20th of May, and this horse put on a show, winning by 7.5 lengths on the front and all throughout. This horse could have probably won by more, but that was a very good run. 108 and 1 for the 3/4 of Pimlico. That's lightning fast. For the longest time, the track record at Pimlico was for 6 furlongs was like 109 flat. So for this horse to lower it, I believe they lowered it quite a few years ago to 107 now, but for this horse to run a sub 109 up 6 furlongs at Pimlico, that was impressive. Refreshing here against these kind of horses. I think this horse has some speed into him and get the job done shipping cross country. Prior to that Oaklawn last April, 6 furlongs option 50, he won by 7.5 lengths. Again, on the front and all throughout, he just kept going. A very good strong run. And then the Palos Verde, his most recent defeat at Santino over the 6. He finished third by 3 3/4 lengths that day. He was on the front end. He kind of hit the wall late. What can you do? Just couldn't keep up there. And then the behind Tabia in the Malibu of 2022 over the 7. He finished 7 by 7 lengths. He just kind of stalked from a wide trip, but just didn't get into it. When he's on the front end, nobody stops him. He gets a good inside poster here today. He could win. If there's a horse that could catch him, Durante for Dave Jacobson and Manny Franco, wouldn't surprise me if this horse gets a good trip to win. Most recent, the LS of Quality the last week over the 6 on this turf course. He finished 6 by 4 1/4 lengths, and he just completely hit the wall from a tracking trip, but he needed the race there. back to dirt where he's run these good races. He can win. He won the Bold Ruler on this course quite nicely in the fall. Came back to run a very good place behind Bold Journey in the fall highway, and then a decent third in the Gravesend right before the new year. Come back to a sprinting trip, training well, quick turnaround. I'll give this horse a shot on the ticket. And also, Dave Jacobson, 1 to 7 days off the bench. Quick turnaround, 28%. So watch out for this one. Doesn't do it a lot, but when he does, they sure show up. But to recap my selection for the fourth now from Aqueduct, it is the Runhappy. Going to take the 1 horse straight, no chaser. Give kudos to the 2 horse Durante. 1, 2, 4, 6 super. 1, 2 in the multi race. Now to the local Belmont Stakes prep race, the 6th event from Aqueduct. It is the Peter Pan Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $200,000 purse race for 3-year-olds here. Field of 8 horses were entered, but the 4 horse Lonesome Boy is scratched. He's running at Monmouth, and the 5 horse Tuscan Gold is scratched. He'll be running in the Preakness next Saturday at Pimlico. So field of 6 horses in this year's Peter Pan. And something to keep, I find funny, in the last 4 years, the Peter Pan has been run at 3 different NYRA racetracks. If you remember, it's always run at Belmont, so it's been run at 20 and 21, 22, 23. This race was run at Belmont. In 2020, if you remember, this race was actually moved to the beginning of the Saratoga meeting and run as the local prep race instead of the Jim Dandy. This race was run as the prep race for the Travers, which was run in early August in 2020. And now this year, this race is going to be run at Aqueduct. So it's been all across New York. This race, a race very rich in history. Last year, it produced the Brewer's Cup or the Belmont Stakes winner and the Travers winner also with Arcangelo. But my top selection in this one, I'm going to go with the 6 horse Antiquarian as a top selection. Let's go 6-3-2-7 in the superfecta. 6-3-2-7 super. Top selection 6 horse Antiquarian. This 3-year-old colt by Preservationist here. Top Fletcher trains. John Velazquez gets the mount. Horse's most recent outing came at Fairgrounds, mile 3/16 to the Louisiana Derby, 23rd of March. He finished 6th by 4 lengths that day. Catching Freedom had a great turn of foot to win that day. Honor Mary closed up from nowhere. This horse just didn't have the best of beginnings. It was a little bit wide, and he just couldn't keep up that day. Got beat by slightly classier horses. Back to a mile and 1/8, which is more in his wheelhouse. Better post draw. I think he'd get a trip to win. Prior to that, 17th of February at Fairgrounds, mile 16th in main special weight. He won quite nicely by a half a length. He stalked all the way around the race course. He was a little bit wide, but he got the job done going away. A very good strong outing in his sophomore outing and his freshman outing at Gulfstream. 1 mile in main special weight for 70,000. He finished second by a half a length that day. He was a little bit wide. He had the lead. He got caught late, but he ran his heart out. Coming here, stakes quality horses, decent buyer numbers have definitely been improving. He could win. Don't throw out the 3 horse the Wine Stewart for Luis Saez and Mike Maker. Most recently in Lexington, this horse ran terrifically behind Encino. He just had a little bit too much ground to gain that day, but he stalked. He had a decent turn of foot. Encino just had the jump on this one, but he ran his heart out there. Prior to the brief futurity of the mile 16th, at Keeneland, he finished second by 3/4 in length. Again, he just stalked that day. It looked like he was going to go down, but he dug in late to get the place there. And then the funny side over the 6 at Saratoga, he won by a head, closing up from nowhere. Horrible beginning. He gained a lot of ground to get the job done. 86 buyer, that was quite impressive. And then the Bashford Manor at Ellis over the 6 in July. He won by 2 1/4 lengths, closing up from nowhere. A very good race. Come to a mile and 1/8, 2 turns for the first time. Shouldn't be a problem. Could be forwardly paced. Training well, Churchill. I'll give this horse on the ticket. Even the 2 horse Unique Insight, he won an allowance race here last month over the mile and 1/8 quite nicely on the track by 1.5 lengths on the front end with a hand ride. And then prior to that, over the mile and 1/8 in February here in a main special weight, breaking his main by 4 1/4 lengths, a little bit wide, but again, he flew home clear. It took him a little bit of time to get this horse going, but when he's finally did, he's run these good races. He is stepping up in class, but at 8-1, I'll give him a shot on this pick 4 ticket, or pick 6 ticket begins with this race. It's going to be a very nice pick 6, so go a little deep in this one. But to recap my selection for the co-feature on the program from Belmont to Beaugay, it is the Peter Pan Stakes. Going to take the 6 horse Antiquarium, give kudos to the 3 horse the Wine Stewart and the 2 horse Unique Insight. 6-3-2-7 super, 6-3-2 in the multi-race. Let's get to the featured 7th race now from Aqueduct, which is the Man of War Stakes. It's a grade 2 event going for a $400,000 purse race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 9 horses going 2,200 meters or mile 3/8 on the inner turf course. Rails are down for this race. Top selection, I'm going to go with the 2-horse Cortez. I'm going to go 2,985 in the superfecta. 2,985 super. Top selection, 2-horse Cortez. 6-year-old gun by Intello here. Christophe Clement trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. Horse's most recent outing came 30th of March at Gulfstream, a mile and a half in the Grade 2 Pan American Stakes, and he won by a nose that day. He sat back early, was stupidly wide, but he got there in nick of time. This horse looks like he loves the fast ground, and he got the fast ground that day, flying home clear late. That was a strong run. Gonna come to a turf course with some give in it. As always, runs these good races. I'm going to give him a shot to win here today. Two back in a conditions race at St. Cloud, 11th September over the mile and a half. He won by a neck that day, and again, he stalked all the way around the race course. He had a great turn of foot with Goya Senor, who had the placed on this horse. He got the gameness to the wire. He got the job done. A very good strong run there. And then prior to that, Deauville in the pre-going up by run, he finished 4th by 1 3/4 lengths that day. And again, he just kind of stalked. A little bit of shorter trip. I thought he won some more ground, but he ran his heart out. When he runs in a mile and a quarter in France, he just doesn't get that good turn of foot, but when he runs a mile and a half, mile 3/8, that's where he shows up. A very good third place, finished it 2 years ago in the Prix de Concile de Paris. A very good race against some decent horses there. If you look at some of those horses he's been facing in Paris and in Deauville and Longchamp, those are some tough horses there. Excuse me, not Longchamp, that's Chantilly. Those are some decent horses he's been just finishing behind and always running these good races. I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket at 5-1. He can win. I'm going to 9 Horse Nations Bride for Frankie Dettori and Charlie Appleby get the job done also. It ran horribly in Bahrain in the Bahrain Trophy where he just couldn't get the turn of foot. He looks like he's a bit of a better mile and a half horse. Prior to the Canadian International with mile quarter at Woodbine, he won by 2 1/4 lengths. Was the best horse on paper and proved that he basically won for fun there. And then prior to that, in a Group 1 in Germany over the mile quarter, he won by 3 again. All easy race there. He's won over this turf course. He won in course record time in the Gelmont in the Giant Club Derby 2 seasons ago with Frankie up. He'll find a good trip. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. And I also think the stablemate here, Silver Knot, for Charlie Appleby, won the Elkhorn on this turf course last year, won the Elkhorn at Keeneland last year quite nicely, and then basically had a North America campaign other than the Guineas last year, and was always running these good races. Since they gelded him in after the Secretariat, he's become a better horse with speed figure wise. Watch out for him at 3-1. He's the kind of horse you want to keep an eye on as the season goes on here in the States, because it looks like he's going to stay here stateside. Probably end up in like the Manhattan next start out, but watch out for him. He can win here. And even the fine horse 20 Parth stablemate to Cortez here. So I'm going to go with my superfecta is going to be half Clement, half Appleby. But since coming to turf with these long distance races, his bars have improved, and all around this horse has improved a lot. He won the Johns Call at Saratoga last summer, placed in the McDermott, placed in the Pan American. Just like I said, been running good races at 6-1. It wouldn't surprise me if he shows up either. I'll use him in that pick 6 here. Like I said, this pick 6 is going to pay very nicely today, I think, with this late, with some of these very wide open races late in the card. So make sure you go deeper in some of these races. But to recount my selection now for the 7 from Belmont, the Big 8, it's the Grade 2 Man of War Stakes. Going to take the 2-horse Cortez, 2,985 super, 2,985 in the pick 4. Go deep in this one because it looks like it's going to be a good race here. With that being said, good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everyone.